The Valari ship stayed in orbit over Earth. Days passed, but the tension in the air did not fade. Laura sat on the bridge, reading new messages from the Council. The leaders were still divided. Some wanted peace, others wanted action. Kevin watched the radar screen. "Captain, Earth is sending another signal," he said. Laura opened the message. This time, the humans invited the Valari and other alien groups to a large conference. They called it the Galactic Peace Forum. It would take place in one of Earth's biggest cities. Laura thought for a moment. "We will go," she said. "We need to show we are willing to listen." On the day of the forum, many alien ships arrived near Earth. Leaders from different planets gathered in a huge hall. Flags from many worlds hung from the ceiling. Cameras from human news channels recorded every moment. President Harper stood on the stage. He welcomed everyone and spoke with calm and strong words. "We know you fear us," Harper said. "Our history is full of conflict, but we want to build a better future together." General Grant also spoke. She promised that humans would not attack unless they were first attacked. She showed plans for peaceful space missions and new science projects that could help other worlds. Dr. Olivia Barnes explained human research programs. She offered to share new medical knowledge and technology for farming and clean energy. Laura listened to every word. She could see that many alien leaders still looked nervous, but some faces showed hope. After the speeches, leaders met in smaller groups. Laura joined a private meeting with President Harper, Ethan Clarke, and a few other human officials. Harper said, "Captain Laura, we want to work with you and your people. Help us prove we are not a danger." Laura replied, "The Council needs more than words. They need action. Show them your peaceful side. Keep your promises." Ethan said, "We will. And we hope the galaxy will give us a chance." Later that night, Laura walked through the city streets with her team. They saw people celebrating the forum. Music played, lights filled the sky. But near every event, human soldiers stood watch. Their faces were serious. Their eyes stayed sharp, Sandra said. They celebrate peace, but never let their guard down. Daniel added, "That is their way. Always ready. Always prepared." Back on the ship, Laura prepared her final report. She sent a full update to the Council. She wrote about the forum, the speeches, and the human promises. Her final words were clear. Humans show both hope and danger. They speak of peace, but their history stays close to the surface. We must watch them carefully. Trust will take time. On Earth, President Harper read Laura's report. He gathered his team again. "We have done what we can for now," he said, "but we should expect the galaxy to watch our every step." General Grant said, "We will stay ready, and we will protect our people if needed." The galaxy remained silent for a while. Trade ships moved again. Diplomatic talks started between Earth and a few brave alien nations. Some species sent small groups to study Earth more closely. Others kept their distance. Laura and her crew stayed in orbit. They continued to watch and report. Slowly, the fear across the stars began to calm, but it never fully went away. One evening, Laura stood near the viewing window and watched Earth turning below. Kevin joined her. "Do you think there will ever be full peace between humans and the galaxy?" he asked. Laura smiled a little. "Maybe one day, but not soon. Humans are still learning, and so are we." Kevin nodded. "At least now, we understand them better." Laura said, "Yes, we understand the truth. They are not just people. They are survivors, fighters, builders. They will not start a war, but they will never run from one. As the ship stayed in silent orbit, both humans and aliens watched each other. The galaxy had seen the terrifying truth about humanity. The future was still unwritten, but one thing was certain. No one would forget what they had learned. And somewhere deep in the stars, the next chapter of the story waited to begin. Asterisk, the Valari ship remained in orbit, keeping silent watch over Earth. Laura stood on the bridge, looking at new reports from her crew. More alien ships were arriving nearby. Some belonged to the Valari. Others came from different parts of the galaxy. Kevin studied the communication logs. "Captain, more species are sending scouts to observe Earth," he said. Sandra added, "Many are staying hidden, but we can detect their ships on long-range scanners." Laura nodded. The galaxy is still watching. On Earth, President Harper met with his security team. General Grant reported that many unknown ships were nearby. The military stayed on high alert, but no orders were given to attack. Harper wanted peace to continue. "We will not make the first move," Harper said, "but we will defend ourselves if needed." Dr. Olivia Barnes sent another message to the Valari ship. She invited Laura and her team to visit a human science base on the Moon. The humans wanted to show their work on peaceful space projects. Laura accepted the invitation. She and her team boarded a small human shuttle and flew to the Moon base. The trip was short, but Laura felt tense the whole time. At the base, human scientists welcomed them warmly. They showed machines designed to clean space debris. They displayed new technology for food production in space. They also showed medical tools for helping people during space travel. Sandra walked through the labs, taking notes. "They are preparing for life beyond Earth," she said. Daniel stayed close, always watching the human guards stationed around the base. Later, the team stood on the surface of the Moon. Laura looked at Earth in the sky. The planet looked small and peaceful from this distance. "It looks harmless," Kevin said. "But we know better." Laura agreed. "Yes, we know what they can do if pushed." After the visit, Laura sent another report to the council. She explained the human projects and their clear plans for expansion into space. The council replied with new orders. Monitor human space activity. Report any signs of military buildup beyond Earth orbit. Laura returned to her ship. She placed more sensors around the solar system. Her crew worked day and night, tracking human space launches and satellite movements. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans continued their space programs. New ships were being built. More stations were planned for the Moon and Mars. Training for space missions increased. Military units began practicing new tactics for space defense. General Grant oversaw the training. "We hope for peace," she said during a meeting. "But we cannot ignore the possibility of future conflict." President Harper approved more defense projects. He also sent more messages to alien leaders, offering friendship and cooperation. Some alien species responded positively. A few sent small teams to work with human scientists. Trade talks began between Earth and nearby star systems, but many other species remained silent or continued to watch from a distance. One day, Kevin detected something new on the scanners. "Captain, a large group of unknown ships is gathering near the edge of the solar system," he said. Laura studied the data. "They are not Valari, and they are not from any species we know well." Sandra checked her medical systems. "We should prepare for possible injuries," she said. Daniel readied the ship's defense systems. "We should also prepare for a fight," he said. Laura sent a message to the Council. Unknown fleet detected near Earth space, awaiting instructions. At the same time, the unknown ships sent a signal toward Earth. Their message was short and clear. "Stay in your system. Do not expand. This is your only warning." President Harper called an emergency meeting. His advisors debated for hours. Some wanted to send a strong reply. Others wanted to wait and watch. General Grant stood and said, "We cannot let threats stop us. If we give in now, we will always live in fear." Harper nodded. "Prepare defenses, but also send a message back. We will not stop our peaceful missions." Laura and her crew watched carefully as Earth launched new satellites and moved defense ships into new positions. The unknown fleet stayed at the edge of the system but made no further moves. For now, a fragile peace remained, but everyone knew it could break at any time. Laura stood near the window on her ship, looking toward the stars. Kevin stood beside her. "Captain, do you think there will be war?" he asked. Laura took a deep breath. "I do not know, but one thing is clear. The humans will not stop. They will keep moving forward, and the galaxy will have to decide how to respond." As the Valari ship stayed in orbit, Earth kept building, training, and reaching for the stars. The next chapter of the galaxy's story was about to begin, and humanity stood at the center of it. The war spread to the big cities. The Sarnak wanted to break human strength by attacking places where millions lived. Their ships flew over Washington, Los Angeles, and Chicago. They dropped soldiers in the streets and near important buildings. The plan was to scare the humans into giving up. But the humans did not run. They stayed and fought. In Washington, soldiers and police worked together. They blocked streets and set up sniper positions on tall buildings. Tanks rolled through the streets, firing at Sarnak landing zones. In Los Angeles, the fighting moved from street to street. Daniel Brooks led a group of fighters through alleyways. They attacked the Sarnak from behind, surprising them. The humans knew their city better than the invaders. They used that knowledge to stay one step ahead. Claire Morgan sat in the command center with many screens in front of her. She tracked the Sarnak troop movements in real time. She spoke quickly into her headset, giving orders and sharing enemy positions with fighters on the ground. She told Daniel where the enemy was weak. She warned him when new Sarnak squads were moving toward his position. Laura Bennett worked with world leaders. She called for more supplies and reinforcements. She asked for help from every country that could send troops or weapons. She also gave speeches on live television, telling people not to lose hope. In Chicago, the humans built traps. They placed explosives under roads and in empty cars. When Sarnak tanks rolled through, the streets exploded beneath them. Human fighters struck fast, then disappeared into buildings before the Sarnak could catch them. Daniel led a special mission one night. His group attacked a Sarnak supply convoy moving through the city. They took control of alien weapons and equipment. Daniel gave the new weapons to his team. The energy rifles helped them push back harder against the enemy. Claire worked with engineers to study the captured weapons. They learned how to recharge them. Soon, human fighters in different cities were using Sarnak rifles in battle. The balance started to shift. The Sarnak grew frustrated. They expected an easy fight, but humans kept adapting. The more the pushed, the more resistance they faced. The humans used every part of the cities to their advantage. They fought from rooftops, sewers, and hidden tunnels. One day, Claire found a weak point in the Sarnak communication system. She and a small team hacked into enemy channels. They sent false orders to Sarnak units. Some Sarnak soldiers moved to wrong locations. Others attacked their own allies by mistake. Daniel and his team used this confusion. They launched fast attacks on isolated Sarnak squads. The humans took back control of key buildings and roads. In the command ship above Earth, Commander Vecca received reports of the failures. His officers told him about growing losses. He ordered more troops to land. He told them to destroy everything in their path, but even with more soldiers, the Sarnak could not break human defense lines. Laura watched as reports came in from different cities. Each time, humans had held their ground. Some cities were damaged, but they still stood. The human spirit stayed strong. At night, fires burned across the skyline of many cities. The sounds of battle never stopped. But even in the darkest hours, human fighters rested only for a short time before returning to the fight. Daniel's team became known for their bravery. Other fighters started calling them the Night Wolves because they struck hardest during the night. Daniel led them on missions deep into enemy zones. They destroyed supply points and captured alien equipment. Claire and her team kept feeding information to fighters all over the country. She stayed awake for long hours, drinking coffee and focusing on the screens. Her maps showed red dots for enemy locations and green dots for human units. Every time a red dot disappeared, she smiled a little. Laura worked on the next big plan. She met with military leaders from other countries through video calls. They agreed to form a united front. Armies from different nations started moving toward the cities under attack. Cargo planes dropped supplies. New weapons arrived. More soldiers joined the fight. Daniel stood on a rooftop in Los Angeles one morning, looking at the city below. Smoke rose in the distance. Buildings were damaged, but people were still there, rebuilding, helping each other, and fighting back. The Sarnak thought fear would make humans weak, but each new attack only made humans stronger and more determined. In the Sarnak command ship, Commander Vecca slammed his fist against the control table. His officers stood in silence. Vecca knew he had underestimated this species. They were unlike any enemy he had faced before. As the sun rose over the cities of Earth, humans prepared for the next day of battle. The war was not over, but the humans had shown the Sarnak one thing: Earth would not fall without a fight. The weeks turned into months. The fighting continued in every corner of Earth. The Sarnak soldiers grew tired. They were not used to long wars. On other planets, they had won fast. On Earth, the humans refused to give up. Commander Vecca stood in his ship looking at battle. Reports. More red marks appeared on the screen every day. Red meant Sarnak losses. His officers spoke less now. No one wanted to bring bad news. On Earth, Laura Bennett met with other defense leaders. They agreed that it was time to strike back harder. They needed to take the fight to the enemy ships in orbit. Laura called for scientists, engineers, and pilots to help. In secret factories, humans worked day and night. They took parts from destroyed Sarnak machines. They learned how the alien weapons worked. They built new weapons using Earth materials and Sarnak technology. Energy rifles were now being made in human factories. Armored vehicles got stronger shields. New rocket systems were tested. Claire Morgan helped design a new communication network. She made sure every human unit could talk to each other without being tracked by the Sarnak. She used the knowledge gained from hacking enemy systems. Claire's team spread this new network to all defense groups. Daniel Brooks stayed on the front lines. His team, known as the Night Wolves, continued their missions. They attacked Sarnak bases at night. They destroyed fuel tanks and power systems. The Sarnak patrols became smaller and less organized. Daniel noticed that the enemy looked tired and scared during each new fight. One day, Laura got good news. Scientists had finished building the first mobile anti-ship railguns. These huge weapons could shoot at ships in space from the ground. The railguns were placed near major cities. When the next wave of Sarnak ships entered the atmosphere, the railguns fired. 2 Sarnak ships exploded before they could land. The humans cheered. For the first time, they had real defense against the enemy in space. The news spread quickly. Fighters on the ground felt new hope. But Laura knew that this was not enough. The real battle would be in space. She approved a dangerous plan. A small group of fighters would board captured Sarnak transports. They would fly these ships into orbit and attack the main Sarnak carrier. Daniel volunteered for the mission. Claire joined the planning team. She studied the carrier's weak points. She found where the shield was weakest. The human strike team trained for days. They learned how to fly the Sarnak ships. They practiced how to board the carrier and set explosives. The day of the mission arrived. Daniel and his team climbed into the stolen Sarnak transport ships. The engines roared to life. The ships lifted off from secret launch sites. Claire watched their progress from the command center. She sent real-time updates to the team. As the transports neared the Sarnak carrier, alarms went off on the alien ship. Sarnak defense cannons fired at the transports. 2 ships were hit, but Daniel's ship made it through. His team jumped out and stormed the corridors of the enemy carrier. The fight inside the ship was fast and brutal. Daniel's team used both human and Sarnak weapons. They moved quickly toward the main reactor. The Sarnak defenders tried to stop them, but the humans pushed forward. Explosives were placed on key systems. Daniel gave the final order to evacuate. The humans ran back to their transport ship. They barely escaped before the explosions rocked the carrier. Fire and smoke filled the sky above Earth as the massive ship broke apart. From the ground, people saw the bright flash in the sky. Cheers and celebrations started in every city. The loss of the carrier was a major blow to the Sarnak. Commander Veka watched the destruction from his ship. His best warship was gone. His ground forces were trapped without support. The Sarnak leader felt something he had never felt before. Fear on Earth. Laura spoke with her team. The success of the space attack gave them a new chance to win the war. She ordered a global counterattack. Every human force moved forward at the same time. In the deserts, forests, and cities, humans pushed the Sarnak back. Daniel and the Night Wolves led a charge into a large Sarnak base. They destroyed communication towers and supply rooms. Claire sent false orders again, making Sarnak soldiers retreat in the wrong direction. More captured Sarnak weapons appeared on the battlefield. Human engineers kept making new tools of war. Tanks with energy shields rolled through city streets. Soldiers fired railguns from rooftops. By the end of the month, most Sarnak landing zones were lost. The enemy soldiers were either captured or killed. The few who remained were low on food and weapons. Commander Veka knew the war on Earth was lost. He ordered his remaining ships to prepare for retreat. The Sarnak would leave the planet. But Veka also knew that the humans would never forget this war. The galaxy had changed forever, as Asterisk The last Sarnak ships left Earth's orbit. The people on the ground stood in silence and watched the sky. The war was over, but the damage remained. Cities were broken. Roads and bridges had fallen. Buildings stood with holes and black marks. From fires, the people had survived, but life had changed forever. Laura Bennett walked through the command center. The screens showed images of the Earth. Some places still had smoke rising from the ground, but there were also pictures of people helping each other. Soldiers carried food and water to civilians. Engineers worked to fix power lines and water. Doctors treated the injured in tents and shelters. Daniel Brooks lay in a hospital bed. His arm was in a cast, and his face had a long cut across one side. But he smiled as Laura and Claire walked in. They brought him good news. The enemy was gone. The Sarnak had left the solar system. Claire sat beside Daniel's bed. She told him about the plans for rebuilding. She also told him that scientists were still studying the captured Sarnak technology. There were talks about creating a new Earth. Defense fleet. Ships would be built, not just for defense, but for exploring space. Daniel listened and nodded. He knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. The galaxy was big, and there were other dangers out there. But he also knew that humans would be ready. Laura gave a speech in front of the United Nations. She spoke to all countries at once. She asked them to work together. She said that the fight against the Sarnak showed what humans could do when they stood as one. She wanted to build a united force to protect Earth from future threats. World leaders agreed. Countries that had once argued now shared resources. Scientists from all over the world came together. Engineers built new factories to make space weapons and defense systems. Claire worked with a new team of experts. They built a strong communication system that reached across the planet and into space. They also designed warning systems to detect any new ships coming near Earth. Daniel visited other soldiers still in hospitals. He told them stories about the battles they fought. He thanked them for their bravery. He met with families who had lost loved ones. He promised them that their sacrifice would not be forgotten. In many places, people built memorials for the fallen. Names of soldiers, civilians, and resistance fighters were written on large walls. People came to these places to remember those who had fought and died. Months passed. The cities started to look better. New buildings rose where old ones had fallen. Streets were cleaned. Schools reopened. Children played outside again. But the people did not forget the war. They trained new soldiers. They taught new generations about what had happened. Movies, books, and songs told the story of how humans had stood against the Sarnak in space. The first ships of the New Earth Defense Fleet were launched. They carried human crews but used both Earth and Sarnak technology. The ships had strong shields and powerful weapons. Laura stood at the launch site and watched the first ship rise into the sky. She felt proud and hopeful. Daniel, now healed, joined the training of new soldiers. He taught them how to fight, how to survive, and how to never give up. Claire continued to lead the intelligence team. She worked with scientists to build better tracking systems for space defense. One day, a message arrived from a deep space probe. It showed that the Sarnak were gathering in a distant star system. The report said that they were scared. They were telling stories about Earth. The name human had become a warning among the Sarnak. They now knew that Earth was not a place to attack again. Laura, Claire, and Daniel met in the command room. They talked about what to do next. Laura said they needed to be ready for anything. Claire suggested sending scouts to learn more about other alien races. Daniel agreed and said Earth should never wait for danger to come close again. The meeting ended with one decision. Earth would protect itself, and if needed, it would fight again. That night, Daniel stood outside, looking up at the stars. He thought about the battles, the friends he had lost, and the future to come. He knew more challenges waited beyond the stars. But he also knew that no enemy would forget what humans could do when pushed to the edge. Earth had changed. Humanity had changed. They were no longer just people living on one planet. They had become something more. A force that even galactic predators had learnt to fear. Asterisk, months after the Sarnak left, Earth entered a new time. People were rebuilding homes, schools, and hospitals. Roads and bridges were fixed. Power plants started running again, but deep. Inside, no one forgot the war. Laura Bennett sat in a large meeting room with world leaders. They discussed the future. The Earth Defense Fleet was growing. More ships were being built. New weapons were tested every day. Scientists worked on faster space engines. The goal was clear. Earth would never be caught unprepared again. Claire Morgan stood inside the new Space Command Center. Large screens showed the positions of Earth's new ships. Satellites scanned space for any sign of danger. Claire's team worked day and night. They checked for strange signals and ship movements beyond the solar system. Daniel Brooks trained new soldiers at a large base in Arizona. The recruits came from every country. Young men and women learned how to fight in space and on land. Daniel taught them how to move, how to stay hidden, and how to fight with both human and Sarnak weapons. One day, a new alert appeared on Claire's screen. A large unknown object was moving fast toward the solar system. It did not match any known ship. Design. Claire called Laura and gave the report. Laura asked for full scans. The object was still far, but coming closer every hour. Laura called an emergency meeting. Scientists, military leaders, and space pilots filled the room. Claire showed images of the object. It was large, almost the size of a city. No one knew if it was friend or enemy. Daniel was called back to active duty. He left the training base and went to the main spaceport. He joined his old team, the Night Wolves. They prepared to board one of the new defense ships, the Earth Defense. Fleet moved into position near the edge of the solar system. The new ships lined up, ready for battle. Laura gave a clear order: watch, wait, and be ready. As the unknown object came closer, it started sending signals. Claire worked hard to decode them. After many hours, she understood the message. The object was not Sarnak. It belonged to another alien race, the Creel. The Creel were traders and explorers. They had heard about the war with the Sarnak. They wanted to meet humans. They were curious about the species that had defeated the feared Sarnak warriors. Laura decided to meet with the Creel leaders. A small meeting was set on a neutral ship near Jupiter. Laura, Claire, and Daniel joined the human team. They wore new spacesuits and carried small weapons for safety. The Creel leaders were tall with blue skin and large eyes. They spoke through translators. They offered trade and friendship, but they also gave a warning. The Creel said that news of Earth's victory had spread across the galaxy. Many powerful races now knew about humans. Some were friendly, others were not. Laura thanked the Creel and promised to keep the peace, but deep inside she knew more. trouble would come. After the meeting, Laura returned to Earth. She held another global broadcast. She told the people about the Creel and their warning. She said humans must stay united and strong. Daniel and the Night Wolves stayed on high alert. They continued their training and prepared for new missions. Claire increased the number of space scans. Her team worked even harder, checking every corner of the sky. Weeks later, another signal arrived. This time, it was from a distant star system. It was a distress call. The voice was not human, but the message was clear. Another race was under attack by a new enemy. The attackers used weapons even more powerful than the SARNAK. Laura, Daniel, and Claire met again in the command room. They had a choice: stay safe on Earth or help others in need. Laura stood and looked at the team. She spoke with calm and strength. She said Earth had learned how to fight not just for survival, but for what was right. Helping others was part of who humans had become. Daniel smiled and said they were ready. Claire agreed. She pulled up star maps and started planning the mission. The new Earth Defense Fleet powered up. Engines burned bright as ships left orbit and pointed toward the distant star system. Soldiers stood ready in their battle gear. Pilots checked their controls. The Night Wolves prepared for another fight. For the first time, Earth was not just defending its home. It was stepping into the galaxy as a protector. As the fleet moved through space, Daniel stood on the bridge of his ship. He looked out at the stars. The universe was big and full of unknown dangers, but he felt no fear. Behind him, on Earth, people watched the ships on large screens. They cheered and waved. They knew their heroes were going out to help others. Laura, Claire, and Daniel had started a new chapter for Earth. The story of human strength and courage would continue, written among the stars for all the galaxy to see.